welcome to RugbyWorks Talks, our podcast that we look at a range of issues, but really has a focus on inclusion and looking at issues around inclusion in rugby and in charity and in sport in general. And I am delighted to welcome you, Ryan, to this podcast. So thank you for joining me.
No worries.
And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your background and how come you happen to have anything to do with Dallaglio RugbyWorks now. And then a little bit of your views about sport. And then hopefully we'll get on to some stuff around golf and rugby, which I know you know quite a lot about. So Ryan Davies, welcome. Why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about your background and how you got to know Dallaglio RugbyWorks?
Yeah, so my name's Ryan Davies. I'm from South Wales, or better, the Rhondda Valleys. So I went to Ysgol Gyfun Cymraeg Llyn. It's a mouthful, Susanna.
Yeah, I'm not repeating that. Go on, give it to us one more time. Where did you go?
Ysgol Gyfun Cymraeg Llyn.
And what is that? Is that a school?
Yeah, so that's a primary school based in Porth in the Rhondda Valleys. So I attended there until I was in year 4, I believe. Then I reached some issues with my behaviour where I started to go downhill. So then I went to like an alternate provision school in Tonopandi, which was basically full of young people similar to me, ADHD, autism, Tourette's, and people who struggled in social environments. So after a year there, or 2 years there for the last bit of Key Stage 3, I then went to Ysgol Gyfun Cymraeg Cymer. Have you heard of
that? No.
So that was another like mainstream school that I got set back to, as they thought I would become better with my behaviour. So I lasted around 6 months there, and had the passing of my grandmother, which didn't help with my behaviour, which resulted in me losing my temper, kicking off a lot, and becoming quite violent with other students, so fighting a lot. And so yeah, I got excluded from there then halfway through year 7. And then I was out of school then for almost 11 months as we were waiting for panel to find me another school or PIU to attend. So after that, I went to Teagan Education Centre in Aberdeen, where I found Dallaglio RugbyWorks.
And that is where I first met you in sort of beginning of 2020. As somebody who was engaged in the programme, clearly, from what I could see, had a good relationship with the coaches. But you're now just turned 18?
Yeah, I've just turned 18, yes.
Yeah. So you feel like some of those years are behind you. You said that you were kicking off violent, getting into trouble. What was triggering that? You mentioned your grandmother's death. Do you think it was about you? Do you think the education system failed you? How did you manage to get excluded at least twice?
I think it was a mixture of everything, to be honest. It was the way that I was being spoke to. Like if anybody would raise their voice a little bit towards me, I would kind of lash out and lose it. I was quite a hostile person where if there was anything that I didn't like, I would overreact. I also felt when I was in Welsh school, there wasn't as much ALN and support and stuff to help me along. So I definitely think being like in the bottom sets, just so I could be closely watched. And I don't think that helped, as I was quite an intelligent person, that I was finishing the work reasonably quick, and then having nothing to do, which would then cause me to be a nuisance to everybody else and the teachers.
So there are things that you think the education system could have done better?
Definitely.
And now a few years on from your experience of being a hostile, I think you said, aggressive, quite violent young man, how would you describe your personality now? Do you think you've still got that hot-headed temper in you?
No, personally, I think I've calmed down and chilled out quite a lot. I tend to take my aggressiveness into work rather than out on other people.
Okay, well, we'll come back to your work shortly. So when you were at Teagan and you met Dallaglio RugbyWorks, What about that worked for you? Because that seems to be, was that a turning point for you? And if so, what worked?
Yes, it was a bit of a weird one. Going back to being in mainstream school, I had an injury playing rugby where I tore my ACL. I believe I was 15, maybe 14. So obviously I didn't play rugby for a while. But then after doing some stuff with Dallaglio RugbyWorks, it made me realise I could still get involved, whether it was touch rugby, just passing the ball, or even just talking to the coaches about rugby was something that I'd always be interested in.
And so the actual game of rugby helped you to re-engage with some of the coaches, to re-engage with school?
Yeah, definitely, because, if there was any anger I had really then in my pupil referral unit days, I could kind of take out in the game of rugby.
Excellent. And what else was a good thing about your relationship with the coaches at Dallaglio RugbyWorks? Did you find them supportive in helping you sort of plan your future?
Yeah, so obviously Danley knows you in Wales still. He helped me massively. So they used to come in when lockdown was a thing a few years ago with the pandemic. And I was, at that age, I was quite overweight. So Dan, who was a bit of a gym man himself, helped me quite a lot to lose some weight, etc. So over the period of lockdown, still doing the Dallaglio RugbyWorks session, I lost over 6 stone it was.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I know when I first met you, you were slightly larger, but I wouldn't have said you were 6 stone larger.
So wow. Yeah, all of that helped me bond a special relationship with Dan, which we still have these days. I can't thank Dallaglio RugbyWorks and him enough.
Well, where did you go after you left T Gwyn? What was your next move?
So after T Gwyn, I had my GCSEs, which were better results than I was hoping for, to say the least. And then I ended up
What did you get?
So I got 1 A star, 6 Bs, 3 Cs.
Did you get your English and maths?
I did. I got 2 Bs. I did.
Brilliant.
So after that, I went to Hartbury Sports College in Gloucester, where it was just opened a new door for me, living away from parents, having to look after myself. So
Are you being a bit modest? Did you win a scholarship there based on your golf for chance, Ryan?
Yes. Yeah. I did, yeah. So I was up there for a year, and I was only 17 at the time, and it was a little bit tough for me moving away at that age. So yeah, I completed the first year, got distinctions in that, and then I come back and started working for Dallaglio RugbyWorks.
And you went to Merthyr?
Yes, I did.
College.
So for the last year now, I've been attending Merthyr College, as they've started up a new golf program with Golf in Wales. So I attended there doing another sporting qualification, which I did pass then. And having support then off all the coaches from Wales Golf, which definitely helped me improve my golf.
So tell me a bit about why is golf, A, why do you like golf? B, how good are you at it? I will ask you these 3 again. And C, why do you think golf is a good sport? So start me with, how did you get involved?
So I got involved with golf, since I was a young boy. So my mother's Scottish, my dad is Welsh. So when we went up to Scotland, my grandparents basically lived on a golf course. So from the age of as far back as I remember, I'd always go around with my dad and trying to hit a few putts or trying to hit a few golf shots. I wasn't very good at the start, but after a couple of years then, I started to enjoy it more. And I played my first county match when I was 10 years old. So I'd say I got into it very quickly.
And would you say your granddad was the inspiration behind your golfing then?
Yeah, definitely. So my granddad was a South of Scotland international.
Ah.
So I think him being the role model for me was definitely an inspiration.
And where are you now in your golf? Let's start with your handicap and then what you've won and then what you hope to do. Where are you now with your golf?
So I currently play off +2.
Okay.
So I just won the South Wales Boys Under-18 Stroke Play Championship. And then 2 years before that, I won the South Wales Boys Under-16 Championship as well.
So is this just that the boys in South Wales aren't very good at golf?
No, so it's actually open to everybody in Wales playing.
Oh, okay.
But I played okay on that week and managed to get the win.
That's brilliant. And are you been picked for the Under-18s England Welsh team? Yeah,
so it's a match that takes place on the 2nd and 3rd of September at Newport Golf Club. So I'm going to be quite nervous about that one.
And do you know your teammates from Wales?
I do. So a lot of the boys, we're all from the same area. So we play the same county team and we played all the events together growing up. So it'll be fun to play in the team environment for once instead of going against each other.
And you feel confident that that is a winning team?
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, Wales haven't won this match in something like 20 years.
Oh dear. Okay.
So we've all been playing well this year. I'm feeling good personally, and I'm feeling hopeful for my opponents as well.
Well, I mean, absolute fingers crossed. Despite being very English, I will be rooting for you. I will suddenly, for the 2 days, be Welsh. And also, the odds are stacked against you statistically. How many people live in Wales?
Just over 3 million, I believe.
And how many people live in England? Probably 50 million?
Yeah, I'd imagine so, yeah.
Yeah, so statistically, they've got more. They've got a bigger pond to fish in for their golfers. But I still have faith in you winning. So going to golf itself, clearly I'm not a golf expert, although I have to say I'm learning, largely from you. I get my tips from you. But it does appear to be quite an elitist sport. I actually live in Portsmouth, and we still have a municipal golf course, so anyone can play. But when I look around at golf courses, they are incredibly expensive to get onto. How do you break that down? So kids who probably have similar backgrounds to yourself, but kids who are living on council estates, kids whose parents are multi-generational unemployed, how do we get young people into golf so they can reap the benefits that you've reaped?
I think if you look at everybody that plays golf, it's aimed more at the higher net worth individuals that will play it. But a lot of the county schemes and the national schemes are doing like new to golf programs. So they're offering free coaching sessions for juniors under the age of 18, which I think is good to get them engaged and trying different things. But if you were to pay for all your golfing equipment, you'd be talking thousands on thousands of pounds to maybe not be very good at it. So I think the new programs where it's not costing anything and it's taster sessions is great for everybody.
I think there is a real challenge in getting young people from, less advantaged backgrounds into sports, and certainly not so much in Wales actually, but in England, rugby is still seen as quite an elitist sport, which you would probably describe as your second sport, would you, rugby?
Yeah, I'd say so, definitely.
And so you picked, from an English point of view, two quite elitist sports to be in, and seemingly just smashing it at both. What would you say about making rugby more inclusive, whether that's more open to people from disadvantaged backgrounds, or whether that's more open to people who've had slightly more challenging backgrounds like yourself, been through a lot of exclusion units, had challenges controlling your temper and things, or whether it's from people from Black minority ethnic communities? How do you think we make both of those sports a bit more inclusive?
Well, if you want to make golf more inclusive, the best golfer of all time, or the greatest golfer of all time, is a black man, Tiger Woods.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say in golf, it's not so much of an issue, but I think with rugby, it definitely is. But I definitely think rugby here in Wales is not a high net worth sport. Like I'm based right in the heart of the valley where there's not a lot of money. It's not the most affluent area, but everybody loves it. So there's someone in my street who's just been picked to play for Wales, Kieran Azarati, and it's just like the whole community has come together to support that one person, where they're high net worth, different backgrounds. It's like a big social gathering.
To support Kieran, did you say?
Yeah.
And what about women's sport? Because I know that as a coach for Dallaglio RugbyWorks now, you're actually involved actively in Ask Girls programme, which is getting more young women who have not engaged with rugby into rugby. What are your thoughts on the female Welsh team, on women in rugby?
Yeah, I think women's rugby at the moment is in a very good place, but also a difficult place. As with England, for an example, all their players are contracted, earning a lot of money. But in Wales, not all of them are, and some of them are just playing without contracts. So I think in 3 or 4 years' time, women's rugby will evolve and be as big as the men's game.
Do you?
Definitely. It's a lot more. It's easier to watch, as you can relate to it a little more. With men's rugby, you can't relate to someone 6'10" running at you.
Yeah, and it's quite fast, female rugby, isn't it? I mean, rugby is fast, but I think it looks faster to me.
I still wouldn't want to be tackled by half of them.
No, probably not, because they are elite athletes in their sport. So that sort of nicely segues into, what's your current role with Dallaglio RugbyWorks? Why on earth did you want to come and work with the charity that had supported you at some of your most difficult times in your life? Why pick us?
So I am not a lead coach at Dallaglio RugbyWorks, working here in Wales. The reason I wanted to come work for Dallaglio RugbyWorks, as they opened so many doors for me and helped me with my life going to college, weight loss, helped me get back involved in sport. I felt like I was giving something back to Zena, Dan, Lawrence, whoever it is.
And what's the best aspects of the job? What are the things that you absolutely love about working with the charity?
So there's an example this year. There's a few of our boys in one of our schools in the valleys. They couldn't really pass the ball, they couldn't kick. And then towards the end of the year, then they could play a full-on game of touch rugby, which was rewarding to see.
And you were part of that coaching squad?
Yes, so there was me and Brett, who was one of the other coaches here in Wales.
Fantastic. So you love seeing people's skill development. What about the sort of more emotional side? Because I'm sure that the work that you did with Dan and Alex and the others was actually about helping you control your temper a teeny tiny touch so you didn't keep getting thrown out of school. Are you involved with that, or are you focusing very much on skills? Or do you think that you're actually developing sort of trusted relationships with these young people so they are telling you about the challenges they're facing at home?
Yeah, so there's all the schools that I work in personally, I'd say I've got some sort of relationship with all the boys or girls in the session. So they know if there's anything they need from myself or the rest of the squad, that we're there for them. There was one of our boys in our session who was struggling outside of school, maybe just gaining friends in the community. And I left him my email and said, if there's anything you need, you can contact me and we're always here to support you.
And did he contact you?
He did. He said that he went to the park and played football and made some friends. So that was great to see.
And obviously that's within the bounds of a professional relationship. Yes. It's not your phone number, it's your work email.
But definitely my work email.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that point about actually being able to develop positive professional relationships with young people is so important. But I also know that you do other things for Dallaglio RugbyWorks. So what are your interests? What else are you able to do within the charity?
So we've launched a new project called Animated Youth. There's currently 5 of us on the team at the moment, where we help amplify the voice of young people in different community settings and in different environments, whether that's knife crime, drug crime in the community, or even just smaller issues like, what do you call a roll, batch or cop?
That's all wrong. They're buns.
No, they're rolls. They're rolls.
Oh, rolls. Surely they're baps.
We'll leave this for another time.
Yeah, okay. So you're part of working with young people to help them get their voices heard, do a bit of talking truth to power. Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm still only 18, I also see the issues as well. So I feel like they're quite relatable, and it makes me more passionate about what I want to do and what I want to help.
Fantastic. But you also, are organising a charity fundraising golf day.
Yeah, so...
Tell me a bit about that. Why do you want to organise events?
So when I was still in school, I had the opportunity to come down to London or Richmond to play golf with our founder, Lawrence Dallaglio. And that opened the door for me for being in such an important person's company for such a long time. And what I learned while speaking to him on the golf course, which was the most amazing thing probably ever in my life so far. So I feel like to give maybe another young person to experience that and to raise some money for an awesome cause.
Absolutely brilliant. And this is on the 24th of October. No, on the 4th of October, 2024.
It is.
Too many fours in there.
St. Pierre in Chepstow.
Right, well, we will look out for that event because that sounds like it's going to be amazing. So you said that one of your most amazing experiences of your life was getting to spend those 4 or 5 hours with Lawrence and being able to listen to him and learn. And that you want to give other young people opportunities. What to you is important? You know, what are the issues? You mentioned animated youth. What are the issues that are really important to you that you could get behind? If you were going to be a politician, what would you be campaigning on?
My biggest thing personally is bullying.
Yeah.
I've suffered a lot with it, whether that's cyberbullying or wherever. It's something I'm passionately against.
Yeah.
I don't see the purpose of making someone else feel bad just to make yourself feel better. There's better things to get high on adrenaline maybe, and not just to bully other people. So that's one thing I'm passionate about and will be trying to campaign against.
And how did you cope with being bullied?
If I'm completely honest, I didn't really cope at all. So that's when I had issues that maybe with mental health, going down the route, ending up in hospitals, etc. As I said, being violent, acting out. So it all kind of built up, and then my head went off like a bomb, basically.
And how have you, I know that you've said that Dallaglio's helped you, but for somebody listening who's being bullied, how have you pieced yourself back together to now be employed full-time, working directly with young people, talking about important issues, organising events? For everybody listening to you, they're going to hear the voice of a really together young man. How have you, what would be your takeout as to how you've done that?
So my biggest thing is proving people wrong. I absolutely love it. So whether you get picked for the school rugby team and score a try, whether you get a job, whether you get a new car, wherever you do something well, it kind of goes to them and says, look what I've done. You were just nothing, really.
And what about sort of looking after yourself? How do you manage your stress? Is that where you really bring your sport into play?
Definitely. So I'll go and play golf on my own and maybe go to the gym, even just go for a walk, just being in your own space of mind, thinking is therapy, really.
Fantastic. And what's the thing that scares you? What's the thing that keeps you awake at night?
The thought of walking in the dark is something I really don't like.
Really?
If there's no street lights, I can't do it.
So you hate the dark?
Yeah, big time.
And I'm 56 or even 57. I was born in 1965. I'll have to work it out. Oh gosh, probably means I'm going to be 58. I'm 57. And I still have to tell myself that there isn't a creepy crawly living under my bed that's going to get me ankles when I get in at night.
Got to keep your feet under the quilt.
Yeah. Tentacles coming out from under the bed to get me. So we obviously need to do a night walk with you then. Is that the next challenge in DRW?
Honestly, I'll need like big torches, headlamps, a lot.
Well, that's good to know. And if you were going to give a piece of lasting advice to one of the young people that you work with, they said to you, Ryan, give me one piece of life advice. What piece of life advice would Ryan give?
Kind of, you can achieve everything you want. Don't give up on your dreams. Just keep doing everything you can to help you get there.
And you clearly haven't given up on your dreams.
Definitely not. And I won't be either.
So in 10 years' time, when I'm interviewing you, Ryan, we come back, it's the follow-on podcast, it's 10 years' time, you're 28. What are you going to be doing?
Hopefully a professional golfer and an ambassador for Dallaglio RugbyWorks.
Absolutely fantastic. Ryan, it's been brilliant to talk to you. Keep doing what you do. And thank you for giving up your time.
No worries.